I guess introductions are needed for this particular video. So my name's Keith. I'm a part of the channel called Plugged On, where we do lots of reviews of things like TV, movies, video games, music, mostly music, but some of the other stuff. And so on that channel, I've done reviews of Teen Wolf. And so for the purposes of other videos needing to go up, I have decided to put up a couple of reviews of Teen Wolf on this channel. So, and I wanted to find an episode to kind of start doing that with. I don't feel like doing every episode. I only want to do a couple. And so I want to do this one because this is the episode 5. Yes, episode 5 of season 6 of Teen Wolf, entitled Radio Silence. And this is the first episode with Styles back in the whole thing. So a major portion of the episode focuses around Styles in this train station, and at first he kind of isn't understood. He doesn't understand why he's there and what's happening. And then the Wild Hunt, the Ghost Riders show up, and they're dropping off people, and then he runs into Peter. So it turns out Peter doesn't remember, himself. He doesn't remember how he got there. Styles ends up reminding him of how, and so of what happened. So basically, Peter was in Eichenhaus up until the rescue attempt to get Lydia last season. That was when he escaped. Then that's told through a series of flashbacks. And so a lot of it is Styles and Peter trying to figure out how to get out. And so while they're trying to figure out, they see another guy who's watching them, and he knows where he's at. Because one of the things about it is that the Wild Hunt creates an illusion that, hey, there's that they're literally just in a train station. And so my understanding is that once you kind of realize once you realize the Wild Hunt exists, I think that's when you know, because like that's the only thing I can think of to justify this. And so the three of them go into the tunnel close to this trains, and they see like the portal, I guess, where the Ghost Riders go in and out. And so this guy, I don't think his name's ever really stated, or at least I didn't catch it. His plan is he's going to jump on one of the Ghost Riders back, and he's going to ride through the portal with them. Only fault is that when he jumps onto the back, he gets incinerated. And so Styles and Peter are kind of hanging around, and they discover that there's a radio, that there's an intercom and like a radio, and they figure out they can broadcast over it. So we take a break from their part of the story and talk kind of the other part, which is Lydia notices there's a Jeep outside, and she kind of has a feeling that, about this Jeep. So her and Scott manage to stop the Jeep from getting towed, and then eventually the radio comes on, and they figure out it's coming from the Jeep, from Styles and Peter messing with the radio, and they eventually find out that the Jeep used to be Claudia's. So, but then there's no way of tracking who it used to belong to. So, so they, there's like an emotional scene with like Lydia and Styles like sitting, and it looks like they're on like the same wall, and they're both like distraught and whatnot. And so, eventually Peter manages to figure out that the Wild Hunt's not going to stop, that they're just going to keep taking people. And so he's like, all right, I'm going to go through the portal, and since I'm a werewolf, I can heal. And he kind of remembers Malia, and that's why he's going back. That's why he's willing to get incinerated. And he takes Styles' keys with him, and he's successful. He's badly burned, kind of similar to like the end of season 1. He's really badly burned, and he ends up letting out a howl once he lands. Scott and Malia find him. They take away his pain. They find out he has the keys. Thus, then Scott and Lydia get into the Jeep and turn the Jeep on, and then the radio starts up, and they're actually able to talk to Styles, and then Styles tells him to go to Cannon, and then boom, episode's over. I mean, so that's like the plot synopsis. I think they did this episode very well. I feel like, honestly, in terms of some ways, this is some of the most suspenseful stuff they've done, just because they kept doing the thing that I liked from this season, which is they're offering solutions, but not full solutions. So, okay, Peter was able to make it through the portal. That's only because he's a werewolf. So Styles can't make it through. So then the only way that I can see that Styles can make it through would be if, like, either unless somehow the Wild Hunt's beaten or Scott goes through the portal and gives him the bite. That's like literally it. But the other thing that I really like, which is this season's kind of doing a lot of stuff where it's like, hey, we're going to give you information that's going to tie into the backstory. So, we found out that the sheriff's name was Noah in episode 3, and then in this episode we find out that what I infer is that part of the reason that Styles never was like I'm never going to abandon this Jeep was because it belonged to his mom, and so that was like one of his last connections to her. So I thought that was really an interesting take that I didn't know they were going to go with it. Like, it's just like, oh, so they know Styles exists now. I'm not sure. I think Lydia remembers him. I'm not sure if Scott does. I mean, that'll be something to find out during the next episode, which I forget. The next episode's either next week or it's after Christmas, because I know they're taking a break for a couple weeks. So, I mean, it might be a little while before we find out truly what's happening. But I like that because, it kind of gives more reason, and it kind of pulls at the heartstrings a little bit. But, yeah. I'm liking kind of the stuff that they're doing. I feel like they're doing Styles and Lydia's potential relationship right, with like how they're building it up. Like, I don't know, with like the first 2 episodes kind of made me a little hesitant on it, just because of the idea that it's like, they're gonna just, it's just gonna be like this thing, and then she's gonna be in love with him. But it's like, okay, they're not. It's not a major focus. I also kind of like how, a little bit in some ways, especially because this is more talk about the last couple episodes, it's been more about like Lydia's banshee powers is why she keeps having revelations involving Styles, and that's why she is the one who keeps searching, because like both Scott and Malia kind of give up for the most part. They kind of give up on the whole Styles thing, and then they both kind of realize that, oh, maybe this is possible, because when Peter comes back, they don't remember who he is, and then Malia remembers that Peter's her father, and Scott remembers that Peter's the one who bit him, and they're like, how can we forget him? And so I find that interesting. But back on the topic, I think they're doing that right, because that was my one worry. Here's 2 scenes that I want, though, that if you really want to sell me, because that's the thing. I think me, myself included, but I think most Teen Wolf fans would be okay if any combination of the main 4 kind of ended up together in the end. So if it's Styles and Malia and Scott and Lydia, if they somehow make that work, that's fine. If it's Scott, Malia, and Styles, Lydia, that's fine too. But I want a scene with Styles and Malia eventually, if Styles makes it out, where it's kind of like them resolving their relationship, because they never had that. They just kind of broke up. And then at least on Malia's side, the relationship hasn't been resolved. And then I want a scene between Lydia and Malia, just to get everything out in the open. Like, they don't have to hate each other. Like, they don't have to be like, oh, there's jealousy and hatred and stuff like that. There doesn't have to be that. But I feel like there just needs to be something said. Like, I mean, Will Wallace, who's a writer, posted on Twitter, like, oh, there's no jealousy. They're the best of us. But it's like, but that's just boring. Like, at least have one conversation between them where this comes up. Maybe while Styles is missing, they have this conversation. And I think that would be really smart to do, just because it would be rather interesting. So, yeah, it's weird because, like, I mean, Dylan O'Brien's back on set, so he's filming episode 10, which is nice. They're filming episode 610, so that means that, I mean, Teen Wolf's, I guess getting, well, they're going to do that, and then he's going to go film Death Care, I think, so that's going to be really cool. And, yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for this half the season. They've kind of upped the ante. It's weird because, like, the only other show I'm watching right now is The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead's kind of hit or miss. I feel like Teen Wolf has been, like, even throughout its whole existence, is, like, at a fairly consistent level, and I like that. So, yeah. So, again, check out Plugged On. I'm going to put a link to our channel in the description where you can watch a bunch of other videos, because, I mean, this is just my personal channel. Who cares about that? I'll probably even put the Plugged On intro in front of this just because. But, man, so I'm Keith, and thank you for your time.